Well, hello. It's good to see you, Demi. It's good to see the audience in the chat. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of This Week in Quality. It's Friday, the 12th of June. Had to do a quick check there. Wow, another week has flown by since last week, where Demi and I were co-hosting the very first cameras on edition of This Week in Quality. Demi, reflecting on that experience, how was the change, the video on? How was that?
It was lots of fun to try all the new things that happen when you have like a new feature, and now we enter from this side, and then in recording we entered from a different side than that we saw ourselves. So we wanted that we just did this. We wanted to try to see if we can now enter from the other side on the recording, just so people know. But yeah, no, it's very cool to see people. It's now when I'm gesturing, you all see it. So because I was thinking I was sometimes really like pointing to things, and I realized that now they see me do that, so that's amazing. Probably a bit more entertaining for you guys. But yeah, no, it was fun seeing people's faces. But yeah, we do want to reiterate, like when you join, if you join, like we do it now to a new era for TWIQ, but you don't have to do that. So just so you know.
Of course. Yeah. And it's a same thing, right, with This Week in Quality. It's for those who are unfamiliar, who might be joining for the first time today, it's just a way for us to gather at the end of the week, have a good old chit chat. People can share things in the audience chat, so we encourage people to do that. We can read that stuff out for people who are listening to this and the people who are joining us via the podcast as well. And yeah, if you do want to join the stage a little bit later, there's a little button there that says join us backstage to join the stage. So you won't jump on immediately. You'll join the backstage. We'll see that you joined, and then we can bring you up on stage and get you involved in the conversation. I can see, talking of the conversation, some good folks saying hello in the chat. Helene, Gary, Rosie, Pretty. It's great to see you folks. AJ, welcome AJ. Good to see you. I see Rosie Sherry has set herself a little challenge, saying, I'm challenging myself to write a moment before TWIQ ends. Please feel free to be equally challenged. I love that. We do actually have a community star called Challenge Accepted. So I've got a feeling anyone who does take up that challenge will get that star. And hello to Rich Adams. Good to see you, Rich. Hopefully there's an opportunity for you to join the stage this time, Rich. I think in the past, maybe lunch has been eaten and therefore there's not an opportunity to do so. Let's find out if there's a way to do that this week. Talking of this week, Demi, how has your week in quality been?
It's been a very busy week as always. I'm going on vacation starting Monday. So today was really about like doing handovers, finishing up stuff, but I also had some technical difficulties this week. For example, my keyboard, like I have a separate keyboard aside from my laptop. It has refused to the space bar is refusing to do. That makes typing a bit difficult.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that happened. But also on the project side, there's also some technical changes because we've migrated now to container applications. Like we're in the process of migrating from WebLogic to containers. But they have also decided this year, no, we want different containers. So at first we migrated to TKGI, but now we're going to OpenShift. And there's a very big difference between the two because OpenShift has two servers running at the same time. So there's one in one building and one in the other. But we have automated processes running every 5 minutes. So at some point, the processes were starting at both servers, and then we had like double the data in our database because it was double processing everything.
Right.
So then they put a lock on it and said like, okay, if one batch now starts in one server, then it's gonna lock it for like a minute or something before it can be started again, so that the other server doesn't start it as well. It was like, yeah, sure. we now fixed that, but it's complicating things for the testers because we have a way to manually start the batches, and we are sometimes faster than the time limit. So sometimes when we then want to start the batch again, like, oh no, you can't yet. You have to wait for 20 more seconds. So it's slowing down our testing for some reason.
Frustrating.
Yeah, so yesterday I was like waiting for a process to run, and I was like, oh no, why isn't doing anything? It must be broken. And apparently the log had decided, no, we're gonna wait a day this time. And I didn't notice for a few hours.
Right.
So yeah, technical difficulties gone at the moment.
Challenging.
So as you can see, I was having lots of fun this week.
Yeah, and I see Helene.
Yeah, like Helene says, the lock is her nemesis. So yeah,
I can understand why, Demi.
Like I said, it's been a lot, but we keep busy that way. It was very good. But how has your week been, Simon?
It's been great. Yeah, loads of good stuff happening. My kind of way of kind of recognizing what's been happening in the week is how often. It was one way is how often do we update the homepage on the MoTaverse? So it's been like loads of updates, loads of things happening, and I think there's all sorts of themes coming out. I guess themes related to like AI agents, again, hot topic. AI is the constant hot topic, right? I saw a new term, loop engineering. Go check out that new glossary entry. You know, it's the shift from prompt engineering to designing the systems around them. So again, that's hot off the press in the MoTaverse glossary. So do go check that out. You can just do a keyword search for loop engineering on ministryoftesting.com or browse to the glossary. You can find a link to the glossary in the footer of ministryoftesting.com, which is cool. And as Rosie shares, I wrote a short moment on it too, indeed. So see if you can go find that moment, folks, to explore what loop engineering means. It's very cool. There was also, bits and pieces around test data. So Matthew Whitaker's article, The Hidden Bottleneck, Why Test Data is Harder Than Test Automation. There was the dead data walking insight from Rosie. And then there's the date and time cheat sheet that's now come out as well this week. So all stuff related to data. So go check that out. Some good stuff around career growth. So the Into the MoTaverse episode with Priti Gupta. Welcome, Priti, who's joining us today. It was on experience, rejection, and coming out stronger. Go check it out. It's a really great way to kind of reflect on someone's journey, and perhaps when you listen to it, you might see some of yourself in that conversation as well. There was some AMA answers to crafting CVs for the UK job market. Again, they were created as moments, so go check them out. I also saw there was a satellite. LLMs are eroding my software engineering career, and I don't know what to do. Oof. So yeah, go check that out, folks. And then other stuff, we've got a couple of models that have come out this week. The status model by Simon Rigler. I'm not going to give it away, but it's a really good one. So I encourage you to go and find that Call for Insights with Simon Rigler. He has established what's called the status model. And those letters stand for 6 different things. But I will encourage people to go check that out after This Week in Quality. We launched this fairly recently, the ITC model. So this is a way at the MoTaverse to try and describe 3 modes of learning that people might have. And we put forward a case for finding a balance. So ITC stands for individual, team, and community. So we can learn as individuals, learn collectively within our organization, with our team and colleague, and also with the community. So there is a moment I've posted about that. Go check it out. It's perhaps a helpful way for people to share how they're learning with their colleagues who aren't familiar with the MoTaverse, as a way to try and go, hey, this is another way you can learn. So come and consider getting involved in the MoTaverse. So we do love a good model. So those 2 models were launched this week. This is very exciting indeed.
I always find it so cool to see all those models, because I'm like, how do you even come up with those? I can never do that. Like every time you see them, like, what? That just works? How did they come up with like? No, I'm impressed each time I see one of those models and acronyms and everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, Simon Rigler's story is really good, actually. He talks about how he came up with it, and he went through sort of multiple iterations and kind of landed on this terminology, and it made this word status. It was like, oh, there you go. That was kind of cool. So yeah, definitely. Maybe, I think there's more to be written or talked about how we can create models to help with our learning. I'm a huge fan of models, always have been, and always since discovering the agile testing quadrant by Lisa Crispin and Janet Gregory. That for me was one of the turning points of my career, where I'm like, we can create a model to help us describe stuff. Isn't this awesome? So yeah, that's very cool. So maybe there's a future episode of This Week in Quality where we can talk about models, or we can do more Call for Insights, more round tables around this stuff, do some masterclasses. There's lots of opportunities, I think, for us to talk about how to create a model and establish one. I'd certainly be up for that.
It sounds very cool. I'm already looking forward to learning how to do that.
Well, I would say, and this goes to all listeners, right? I would say everyone has some sort of model they're using that they might not realize they're using. The systems they've set up, an approach they take to a certain thing. And with a little bit of stepping back, you might go, oh yeah, it is a model. I can put it in a quadrant, or I can put it in some circles, or I can make a Venn diagram, or I can make some sort of shape, and then articulate it through just a very simple diagram. So I encourage, maybe that's a little challenge to set our listeners today. Think about what you've been up to in the last month and go, if I had to model that, if I had to draw a diagram to describe that thing I've been doing, what would it look like? And that's the start of a model. That's it. And as Rosie Sherry shares in the chat, AI is great at naming models. Stick your ideas in, ask AI to name it. Absolutely. Why not? Use AI as a companion to help give your model a very interesting and compelling name. I like it. Demi, there's been some other stuff as well around negative tests. Yeah. Yeah, what did you see around like negative tests and your kind of thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, so while we were preparing the episodes, Simon was like, "Oh, I have so many ideas," and he just kept sending me links. So I had to open them all to see what is he talking about today, and I was very intrigued with the call for insights that he did with AI Godel, and they were talking about something called negative tests. And I like, a negative test, that sounds a bit weird. Let me see what the glossary says, because of course they added it to the glossary, and I looked at it and like, that's something I do. I know negative tests, because it's negative test is checking what a system should not do. So it's like the following the unhappy path almost. And I was like, I told Simon I was very intrigued by that, because it's a kind of reframing that I sometimes do with my team, because we have some tickets, and the purpose of the ticket really is we shouldn't allow this, right? So like people send in a declaration to us, and we do a validation on it, and this is not allowed. They cannot leave out their name, for example. If they do, then we send them back, oh, there's a fault in it, here is your fault. So the whole point of the story is find the error in the declaration, don't allow it for further processing in our system. So in that case, I say the happy path isn't, there was no mistake found. The happy path is, we found the mistake and it triggered an error. Yeah. So I try to reframe it with my team sometimes, that when the purpose of a ticket is it shouldn't allow something, or it does not do something, then that becomes the happy path now. And we do the negative test, and that negative test is our happy path. And it's such a weird way for them to look at things, because they were like, but the happy path is when everything goes right. So no, I was very intrigued when he sent me those things, and I love that it's now a term that I can throw around to people. Like, no, we're doing negative testing today, and just watching their confusion.
Yeah, I love that reframing, and it's, you know, and I'll quote our Goodall, or AI Goodall. I like calling our AI Goodall. We shouldn't think of a negative test as something that is an exceptional situation. It's not weird and wacky. It's a normal function of the system. I thought that's a great way of framing it, like you've just done, Demi, amplifying what you just shared. Al goes on to say, negative testing is a lever for better conversations. Better conversations across domains should equal better results and better software. And it's like just that kind of, these aren't like nice to haves, they're essential core tests that we should be running to give confidence to our stakeholders. And that's, you know, amplifying what you just said, Demi, and also what Al amplifies during his call for insight. So it's worth checking out. He's got lots of good examples as well thrown in there. So do encourage folks to go check that one out. Well, Demi, those are some topics, right? There's loads happening. So this, to you, the audience, if that sparks some ideas, we've talked about models, we've talked about negative tests, we've talked about a little bit on data, we touched on that as a theme. You know, loop engineering, if you've discovered that, come and tell us about it. Please do put yourself forward to join us up on stage. You can press the little button. We hope it works for you. It says join us backstage, and you can join the stage. We will see you up here backstage. Tell us what you've been up to. Tell us about your week in quality. It doesn't have to be to do with anything we've discussed so far. It can be completely fresh, whatever's on your mind, any questions you may have, any challenges you're facing. We want to hear it. So please do join us up on stage. So we wait patiently.
I'm sorry, I just saw in the chat that Preeti has accepted Rosie's challenge and posted the first moment about this episode of this week.
There you go.
So I took a look, and it's a screenshot of us flying in from the distance.
That's brilliant.
That you captured that moment.
I mean, that it would be very meta to now share that moment in the chat. So there you go, folks. Live. Nice one, Preeti.
It's a very flattering picture, I must say.
Yeah. And apologies, folks, if there's a bit of delay. I can see for some reason my connection says it is not so good. Demi, I think yours seems to be fluctuating from my side. So apologies to our listeners if there's a bit of graininess. I'm a little unsure why. My actual connection should be pretty solid. So we've got a new broadband supplier with mega fast data. So I'm wondering what's going on there. So I will feed back to Wistia. I've seen this happen a few times recently. So let's see if there's something they can investigate. But apologies in advance if the audio drops out or the video goes grainy.
Definitely, it's the technical difficulties are persisting. And from my side, it's also fluctuating between very strong and very poor. So I am very confused about it, because it keeps, like, when it's very poor, it's like, oh, do you want some tips on how to do this? You then, like, 5 seconds later say, oh, you know. It's undecided how strong it is, I would say, but
we're working through it. We're working through it, folks. I can see some more folks in the chat. Rosie sharing, it's the TWIQ shift left right. Nice. So with reference to us, your hosts appearing either from the left or right of the screen. Wonderful. So do tell us.
Now we almost have to make it a new term, and then every TWIQ episode, the hosts have to enter from left or right now, right?
Yeah, that could be
we were discussing before the show, like, if you repeat the joke too often, then it's not funny anymore.
We were saying, yeah, as my son often reminds me, and I remind him, so it's fair play. It's like, don't overdo the joke because it's just not funny. He's constantly telling me, Dad, don't overdo the joke. It's not funny. It's like, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
So folks, please do join us. We will very much encourage you. And if you do join the stage, just to reiterate a point Demi made earlier, you don't have to switch your camera on if you don't want to. You can just join the stage and have a chat with us. Audio only is absolutely fine. We don't want that to be a blocker for people joining us today. Really, we just want to have a conversation. We want to see how things are going. Any topic you like, please do come up on stage. Tell us what you've been up to this week. Or maybe it's something you did a little while back and you just not had the opportunity to share with the community. Maybe it's a big project that you've been working on, or a feature change that's been taking a while, or it could be anything, right? So please do jump up on stage and join us. Demi, I see AJ Wilson has shared, has anyone talked about recently on testing responsibilities in self-service infrastructure?
I don't think so.
No.
So AJ, if you would like to come on stage and tell us about it, we would love to learn about testing responsibilities in self-service infrastructure, because at the moment I'm trying to picture it and I'm not sure if I'm picturing the correct thing. So do come explain it to me. I would love to. Oh no, no, AJ isn't volunteering, but if anyone else could explain it to me, this is also good.
Yeah, test it. So self-service infrastructure. So I don't think I've come across that term before. That's one for me to follow up on and for the community to follow up on. Well, I'm trying to think of, AJ, if you can, what would be an example of self-service infrastructure? Is that like cloud services spinning up themselves with not so much kind of interaction from like DevOps people? Is that what you mean? Or something else? Feel free to share in the chat. Or in fact, if you want to go for it live, AJ, go and create a glossary term right now. And then I can grab that glossary term and then ping it as a link in the chat so folks can go and read the detail there. So it doesn't get lost in the chat, is what I'm saying.
Like the amount of challenges we're issuing to our audience today is
join the stage, create a moment, add a glossary item. And what's going on, folks? Why can't you do all of that at once?
like Rosie said, like be one of those intense, just go for it kind of persons, and just go for it. Like we would love that.
Yeah.
So we have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, I think AJ is responding to us. So let's see what you're all saying in the chat. I guess it's testing in a platform engineering world where teams move to internal platforms. What happens to QA?
Right. Yeah. Well, folks, if someone would like to jump up on stage and share their thoughts on that, then they're more than welcome to, of course. If not today, that's a good one for a moment. AJ, encourage you to create a moment on that. And then, yeah, folks can reply and share their thoughts. Talking of moments, I wonder if there's some nice moments we could read out. I saw that Madhuri Mittal on the weekend answered some AMA questions. So there's four questions that she'd received about crafting CVs for the job market. So let's pick up on a few of them and read some of them out.
Let's see. Well, I see Gary posted a new moment live, so that's also a fun one.
Oh yeah, brilliant! Oh my goodness me, Gary, that is a very good pose as well. I'm gonna share that one in the chat.
For the people who don't know, like Gary's poses usually get very good, like what are they, like reactions to post on Slack messages. So in the MOT Slack channels, you can use Gary's face as a reaction to stuff.
You can.
Yes, no. But I'm sorry, I sidetracked you. We were looking at the moments about
It's
asking
fine.
anything.
I mean, Gary's going to sidetrack all of us with an expression like that, so that's a good thing. I'm glad it happened. but yes, coming back to Madhuri answering questions around crafting CV for the UK job market, and perhaps this also applies beyond the UK job market. I actually remember asking a question: what is ATS, and how does it help or hinder? So I was like, ATS, it sounds familiar, but I'm not sure what it was. So Madhuri shares that ATS usually means applicant tracking system. It's the software companies use to collect, filter, and rank job applications before a recruiter or hiring manager reviews them. How it helps: makes it easier to apply for multiple roles, helps match resumes to relevant skills, can surface candidates whose experience closely aligns with the job requirements. So I guess it's a handy mapping tool. My brain, with my kind of critical thinking head, was like, oh, there might be some risks with relying on an applicant tracking system. So how ATS can hinder: Madhuri shares resumes with poor formatting, graphics tables or unusual layouts may be parsed incorrectly. Missing relevant keywords can cause a qualified candidate to rank lower. ATS may not fully recognize transferable skills or project context. So yeah, risky stuff. And as AJ Wilson points out, huge risks with ATS, especially for neurodivergent people. Yeah, that's a good point, AJ. Absolutely. I saw also, actually, this one, Demi, do you see the one from that Dan Casely asked? So this is is it possible to have a CV that's peak for both ATS and a human? I don't know, Demi, if you wanted to take that one to share that one.
Let's see. I can't find.
No, don't worry if you can't find it. I can also ping it in.
Is it possible to have a CV that speak for both ATS and humans? So the answer is apparently yes. Awesome. We love that. So they say it's a common misconception that you must choose between ATS-friendly resume and an attractive recruiter-friendly one. So you can satisfy both by focusing on clarity. So what they say is like for the ATS, you just use a standard section headings like summary, skills, experience, like the general one. You don't make up names because it's more fun. You include relevant keywords from the job descriptions, but use them naturally in the text. So don't just throw them in there just because you can. So you use them naturally in your text. Use a simple structure with clear dates, job titles, and technologies, and avoid text embedded in images, graphics, or complex tables. Okay. Yeah. And they say for the humans, lead with achievements, not just responsibilities. So to make it more interesting for the human to read. Quantify impact where possible. That's, of course, a very difficult one. Like, how can you specify what impact you had on things, on people's, on organizations? So that's going to be a challenging one to put in there, but it does seem like a very good one for a human to read. Like, oh, this is how they can impact my organization as well. Like that's can be very interesting. Keep the layout clean and easy to scan. Yeah, so if you have a whole stack of resumes to read, then of course, if you can very clearly read through it and easily scan where all the information is, that of course helps a human. And highlight the most relevant testing skills and accomplishments quickly. So I would say do it in the beginning or make it clear somehow which ones are the most relevant. So they give an example. Let's see. Instead of saying responsible for test automation, you can say builds Selenium and Playwright automation frameworks, reducing regression testing time by 60% and increasing release confidence. So it says the same thing, but it explains in what technologies you did it. And it explains what the outcome was, what improved because of it, what impact did it have on the team. So that it's the same sentence, but it gives a completely different vibe when you look at them. So it is very, very cool to see in action, actually. That's a very good example. I love that.
It's a great example. I think that what this also highlights, sort of taking a step back, is we really encourage people to kind of say to the community, I've got some thoughts on this stuff, so ask me anything about it. And I love that Madhuri went for it. She said, ask me anything about this, and then 4 people have replied, and then she's replied with some answers. Like, we really, if there is something out there that you want to share, that you have some thoughts on, just be bold and put it out there and say, ask me anything about Playwright, ask me anything about AI agents, ask me anything about exploratory testing sessions. And I think folks who do that, it really helps them articulate their knowledge and express it in a way. And it's quite very straightforward to create a moment. You share the moment, you answer the question, you can link back to the original one if you want to. You can then create a collection of all of your answers. So all of this stuff appears in search. So when someone does a keyword search, let's take the example of Playwright, ask me anything about Playwright. That stuff will start bubbling up to the top in the search results. We'll also promote it and amplify it as the team, get stuff on the homepage. So it's a really good way for someone to build up their profile, to demonstrate their capabilities, to demonstrate their skills. So yeah, really another reminder, we haven't done this for a while, is just really go for it with putting out an AMA moment. If you, excuse me, if you look on the collections page, you can see all the people that have done it as inspiration. It also gives you the instructions on how to get started. So it's, yeah, it's wonderful. And as Pretty shares in the chat, AMA actually helps to enhance our knowledge, specifically when someone asks a question for which even we are not sure how to answer. Oh, I love that. That's a very good point.
So it was introduced a bit of a time ago, like, post an AMA moment and just help the community with the knowledge you have. And I'm still having trouble coming up with a good one. So far, the best one I've come up with. Ask me anything about how baking a cake is the same as developing software. What do you think?
100%, Demi. By the end of today, please start that moment. It's wonderful.
Because 100%. I can explain it to you in excruciating detail.
Yes.
Like, people would be surprised how much we have in common.
Oh my goodness. I can already think of a number of questions that could be asked. And I'm sure the community would as well. And that's a wonderful way to describe things by using an analogy. I love that. Talking of describing things using analogies, I know someone who likes to do that, and that's Rosie Sherry. So let's get Rosie up on stage. She's joined us backstage. Rosie, welcome. All right.
Welcome.
Let's go confetti.
The confetti. How do we do confetti?
What? So Demi, it relies on you being on the Mac OS operating system.
Oh no, I don't have that. Finally, an argument to buy an Apple device that would convince me. It's the best argument I've had so far for that. What? Yeah, no, I'm sold. Now I need to go find one.
Just spend the rest of the episode doing all these reactions.
I love it.
So Rosie Sherry, welcome.
I'm sorry, I immediately sidetracked you. Hi, Rosie. How are you doing this week?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. But yeah, I love doing the emoji or confetti type reacts. It's quite addictive. But I thought I'd join on the stage because of what AJ mentioned about self-service infrastructure. And I don't really know anything about that, but it reminded me of a conversation that I had with. Sorry, there's balloons.
Sorry about that. There you go. Keeping it light. Just couldn't help myself.
But yeah, I was basically, it reminded me of that conversation I had with Abby Bangsker recently. It's Into the MoTaverse podcast episode coming soon. But we've known each other via MOT probably from about 15 years ago. And as we said on the episode, I bullied her into doing things. Or encouraged her gently into doing things, which she did. But yeah, she started in testing quality, and she's moved more into the platform engineering space. And and speaking to her, I was just like, I just realised I don't know anything about this. Please teach me. And you know, it gets me thinking about how important it is for us to build bridges in understanding about technology. It's like, why do we not talk about platform engineering? Or maybe some of us do, or some of us actively work on things around platform engineering, but I haven't really come across many conversations, at least in the MoTaverse, around it. So if anyone can point me towards stuff, I'd love to know more. But it's like, what is platform engineering? I feel unqualified to talk about it, so I'm going to read a definition, which is not yet in the MoTaverse, but will probably be there soon. But platform engineering is the discipline of designing and building internal developer platforms, the tooling infrastructure, the infrastructure and workflows that help development teams work more efficiently. So that kind of made me think, like, is self-service infrastructure kind of the same thing? I don't know. Maybe they're similar. I don't know if it's the same thing. But yeah, it got me thinking. And like the conversation with Abby, not that I want to go and share it all, but one of the things that there were two things that kind of stood out, and one was I heard the term shift down for the first time. So I've heard shift left, shift right, shift everywhere, but I had never quite clicked with shift down. So that was interesting. I think shift down is more shifting towards platform engineering. Don't quote me on that. And then also related to that, a term that kind of stuck with me was thinnest viable platform. And I like that. It's kind of like the simplification, the removing complexity that we don't need, removing tools that we don't need, and being able to build our own internal tooling easier. Well, I'm not sure if easier is the right word, but I guess often in the testing world, we often default to tools that we use, but maybe we need to think about it from more of a building our own toolkit or infrastructure, or using platform engineering as a way to facilitate that, so that we can focus on the work and not have to worry about some of the things like security, for example. Are we, if you're building from scratch, and platform engineering is not completely building from scratch, but you still have that creativity and ability to adapt your workflows and not be restricted to what tools can often restrict you to. So that you get bought into a tool and then you can't adapt. But whereas with kind of platform engineering mindset is that you have more flexibility to adapt things to your own internal processes and workflows and la-di-da-di-da, basically. But yeah, I realise I have a lot to learn around that. And I guess if anyone's up for exploring that further, I'd love to talk, but also there'll be a podcast out in probably a few weeks about that. It'd be cool to explore more.
I love it. There's so much there, right? It's like feels like you've unlocked a whole load of stuff that we can go way, way deeper into. It's very cool. I was trying to relate it back, and it was a thing that Pretty shared, that you shared, Pretty, in the chat. Is it the same as developer experience, DevX? And I know as part of SQUEC, so the Software Quality Engineering Certificate, we developed a model that includes DevX. I was just trying to dig it out live on the call, see if I can find that model. It might be related. It's an interesting one. So for those who are taking SQUEC or are already SQUEC qualified, there's some good connections there. So I might try and do that and just grab a screenshot and share within this chat. But yeah, I might get to that, I might not.
chat really blew up with what you were saying, Rosie. There's so many reactions. I'm still trying to go through it.
Okay.
I see Gary says they have a platform engineering team, so a whole team dedicated to it, and they're not using them very well. So they only engage with them when they really need them, but otherwise the team is there and not really doing a lot, it seems. So it's very cool that you have a whole team for that, Gary. So do let us know what you then ask the team. Like, when is it so necessary that you go bother the team that you usually don't engage with? Oh, and AJ is answering Preeti on the developer experience question. So AJ says platform engineering and developer experience are two sides of the same coin. Platform engineering builds the internal tooling and infrastructure, while developer experience focuses on how easily and happily developers use those tools. Okay, that's very clear. That helps a lot with clarifying what the terms mean for the people who have never seen them. So I do love that explanation. I add them to the glossary, I would say. Ooh, and AJ also advises there's a lot on the club going on about the subject. So that's also there. There is, for the people who don't know, MOT has a club, a forum, so to say, where you can ask any questions, discuss any topics. I haven't been there for a while. I sometimes forget to go there, but somewhere in the footer of the MOT website, you can see a link to the club. You can go see what there all is to be found about platform engineering, DevX, and all kinds of other stuff. There is so much going on in the club. Every time I go back, I have a whole reading list of topics I missed. I see. Okay.
I see a Shutosh has raised an interesting comment. No one talks about tester experience or testing experience. Oh, it'd be nice to get your thoughts on that one, Shutosh, in relation to DevX. What is TestX? And does such a thing exist? Very interesting. I also see that there is a person who posted a moment earlier on today by their monitor. They've joined us off stage. It's the one and only Gary Hawkes. Welcome, Gary.
How you doing?
Yeah, there's the confetti time. Here it comes.
It doesn't work if you don't have a Mac, apparently, Gary.
I've got a Mac. There's something stopping me. It's not fair.
Well, okay, so when we did a bit of research about the confetti, not that we spent that much time on it, it sounds like we spent ages working it out. It was for certain OSs and above. So that is one constraint. So I think my iMac has only gone up to Sequoia. It can't go any further. It's hit its limit, but it does work on Sequoia if that's any help.
Oh, okay. I think we've got a different flavor, I think.
And then and then there's a reactions feature that you need to enable with a camera icon in your top right toolbar, if that helps, Gary. There you go.
I shall play with that and come prepared.
Wonderful.
Next time. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, Gary, how's your week in quality been? How's things?
Yeah, it's been up and down, and kind of. I think there's a kind of a platform engineering thing kind of resonated a bit, because we're having the conversations now around. And AJ mentioned a really good point, and even though, you can have processes that break, responsibilities up, you can have roles that break responsibilities up, when at the end of the day, we all need to be engineers. And sometimes those things are working against each other. And you can have teams that break responsibilities up. And we have this thing, so talking about the platform engineering, we have a platform engineering team. Now, to be fair to them, they're not doing nothing. It's basically, but we've noticed in the kind of like product realization process, or I've kind of like started to conversations around this, or there's some conversations going on, that we only really engage with them in our world when we need them. So, we need an environment for this. Let's raise the ticket for platform engineering. So they even have their own like ticket system away from our Jira boards. They have their own Jira boards, and that's worked to a point. But they also, the platform engineering team, also need to control the budgets of like all the kind of AWS stuff that's going on, and product and sales might want you to spin up a one-off environment just so that we can show a demo or a prototype to a customer or something like that. And so they have to kind of like worry about that. And obviously they also like look after all the production things and are monitoring the production systems and everything like that. But one of the weaknesses, like I say, that we've got is that they're not part of the engineering team, and they're kind of like separated, and really to get the best out of them. And they're a very small team as well. I think, let me count them, 3. there's 3 of them, and we don't really, like I say, they're not part of the engineering team, so we should really be working more proactively with them, and it's one of the weaknesses that we've got around that. And you also have this kind of segmentation and like permissioning of like, there's only so much the engineering is allowed to do on a platform, and then obviously the platform engineering is kind of like tied in with IT services and they've got the permissions to do everything. And we haven't quite got that right, the freedom of what engineers need to do day to day around the platforms, and but that's been kind of like moving. But again, it's kind of reactive of like, if they're too busy and it'd be not much of an issue for us to be able to do it, then we might get a permission relaxed to let us do something. And so but around the kind of platform engineering thing, I've just literally emptied my head of everything I know. Because that's the kind of dynamic. We've got a dynamic problem, if you like, with platform engineering, and I think that's come about from a company that expands, fills in loads of like heads and everything going in, and then contracts, and you've still got these team separations, and the kind of like dynamic now isn't particularly, or could work a lot better.
It sounds very familiar, Gary. I've worked at 2 different organizations, which the way you described it is exactly the same setup. 3 to 4 people, you'd have to use their Jira instance to request stuff. And it was like on an ad hoc basis, as you described. And there were efforts to try and like get them more integrated into the engineering flow, like say a 2-week release cadence that we had going on. It didn't quite get there in I can think of one particular place where there was a bit of, not standoffishness, but more like just couldn't find a way to gel the approach that the engineering teams were taking and this small team. But they had the power. This was the thing, and that's what I found interesting. They had a lot of power and control because they were managing the production environments, and very rarely would we as an engineering team get to go close. We would for debugging and if things really hit the fan. But it was like, stay away, don't go near production.
Yeah.
You're not trusted, kind of thing. And it was a bit like, I'm sure there's a better way. We tried a few things, but it didn't quite work out in that particular case. But yeah, is there, or what do you see it as an issue, like, and perhaps other teams out there listening today are facing a similar thing, like, could you see a more harmonious, if that's the right word, relationship with the world of platform engineering?
Yeah, definitely. But like I say, I think it's and across the MoTaverse, we've touched on this in a number of different, like focusing on particular areas, but we've touched on, with quality engineering and continuous quality is trying to blur the lines between each of these stages. But we are very good as humans at like creating silos, and every restructure creates a new silo, and that kind of thing. And what we're kind of saying is, like, as we've got smaller, is like when you look at how we work, it's how do we become, is there anything we can do with the way that we're working to become more efficient, or do we look at a different way of working? And this is where you look at the separate teams. You still get the odd person that looks as, you know, whose mindset, not deliberately, and not, you know, the mindset could be, I've done my bit, now I've handed it over test. We've got a lot better with that as an industry and in our company, but there's people left with that. And when you architect that in a process, you know, like people have mentioned it before, so that the test box in a Jira board, you know, is that kind of can influence that. And the same as, like, we don't have platform engineering being ready in our Jira board. We basically finish what we do, and then we go and say, we're going to get ready to deploy this, or can you get ready to deploy this? Now, if we were kind of blurring those lines, and then basically saying, well, you know, all those tickets are coming in because, you know, is that they're all part of the project. They don't need to be just as active 100% of the time in the project, but in the kind of like ceremonies of stand-ups and refinements and so on. They can, you know, take part in those and be prepared. And, you know, and I think it just kind of greases the wheels of those things. And, you know, so it isn't like, because obviously what happens is that when you say, okay, we're done, we're ready to do a deployment now. Okay, let me see when I can fit that in. I can fit that in Thursday. And straight away is that we've hit our own pre-designed delay into the system. And it's kind of like trying to see where we can remove those things. And the only way you can remove those things is taking a step back from the way we work and going, we probably need to do this a bit differently, engage with people a bit differently. And I think that's, you know, part of the journey that I'm currently on, is gently influencing those kind of discussions.
You got this, Gary. Community's got your back on that one, of your gentle influencing. Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in to add a thought just from experience at MOT, like, and tapping into that phrase of thinnest viable platform, and how that relates to like what we're doing at MOT is that we're slowly getting rid of stuff that we don't need, tools that we don't need. And the more we do that, I didn't really think about it, but the more we do that, and the more we're actually able to get done, because or see or improve, because we have more control over the data. So whilst, you know, maybe we're not doing platform engineering, we're just like getting on and shipping because tiny team and all of that. But I speaking to Abby and just like exploring what does that mean for quality. Like if we have if we try to simplify as much as possible, if we get rid of some tools that we don't need, if we connect better with the teams and the platforms we're building, and like we get access, or we naturally see data that we might not have paid attention to, or we can refine our quality processes even more in a way that saves us time and efficiencies, or all these things is kind of like, for me, I'm kind of like, there's like potentially a whole new world of quality that we could explore as a result, a different way to do things, just waste to get rid of. And I feel like we're doing that at MOT by building our own platform, right? And we're getting rid of things as we go. And the more we get rid of tools, the better it actually feels.
Yeah.
And that inspires me, but it also inspires me from a quality perspective. It's like, oh, we can do things better. We can ship quicker. We can ship with more quality. We can, all these things. It's like, oh, wow. But it requires a different mindset, right? And I think that's kind of what's piqued my interest with the topic, is like the conversation. There's potentially many conversations we could have around that. Instead of focusing all the conversations on, oh, what's the best tool to do this? It's like, actually, maybe we should be thinking about what's the best platform engineering approach to solve this problem, so that the whole team can support quality, not just like the test team. And just one final point on that, from a community perspective, there's a phrase, I think it's Peter Block who says it, but I'm not 100% sure. He's a community guy, but it's like, if to change a future, you change a conversation, right? And that's partly what I'm trying to do at MOT, is change the conversations, to what matter. And if we start talking about the things that we really feel matter, then that's going to change the future. We might not know how it's going to change exactly, but to me, that's so important, and that's why, like, I want to build bridges. This is why I want to explore new ways of doing things, and I don't want to talk about certain things that just drag us down. So I'm personally trying to get better at saying, actually, I don't want to talk about that. It's not that that's not valid. It's just that that's not the conversation I want to have, because that's not the conversation I think will create the better future that we need. So it's all interconnected and quite inspiring for me. But yeah. I'll stop there.
I feel a whole bunch of insights, articles, and talks and roundtables coming up on this subject. I can already tell you I have so much to talk about. Already looking forward to seeing all of them. No,
it's great. Just a final thought on that, Gary, if I may. It's that kind of, and maybe it's connected to what you've just shared as well, Rosie, where like it takes real effort to have that ability to step back from the day-to-day, but not just step back for the sake of, like, isn't it nice to like step back and look at how things are going and improve things and find opportunities? Because I think that's fine, and we should do that when we can, but also how can we do that in a practical way where we can, make a difference and influence? So it's like, is it small incremental change? Do we step back, go, oh, it needs to be quite a big change for things to improve, clearly. But how do we step our way there? So it's like, I keep coming back to like zooming out and then zooming in, and the skill that we can have as quality professionals to be able to do that. We can use that skill when it comes to change. And it's tricky, but you got me thinking about that, Gary, like this sort of zoom out and zoom in, and when is the right time, and how do you practice it on a day-to-day basis when you're feeling the pressure, your delivery pressures, etc., project pressures, release pressure, all that stuff. Curious thoughts. Demi, I know we are over the hour. This is rock and roll, but I like the fact that we're continuing, because officially we've only been going for about 58 minutes, so this is fine. Demi, should we call out some stuff in the chat? There's been all sorts going on, which has been wonderful.
There's lots of things going on, but I wanted to draw your attention to something, Simon, because there is a question sent in the Q&A.
Oh, there
and
we go.
We didn't notice.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So I was like, oh, AJ is sending us a question. So the question is, in 2026, are we building quality, or are we building quality or pretending to? Well, there you go. We have a way to show it on the screen. So it's a very good question. So that's why I was like, I saw the question. Ooh. Are we building quality or pretending to? Ooh.
Nice. That's a good one to ponder.
It's a good one. This is a very good one for a moment where we can continue the discussion, I would say, because I don't think we have a lot of time to go deeper on this, and there's so much to talk about, I would say. Oh
Absolutely.
My God.
That's one to follow up on for sure. Are we actually building, or we were pretending to build? Nice. Thank you, AJ, for posting that question as a Q&A. Wonderful. So in the chat, we've got, let me whiz back up.
AJ and Ashutosh are having a whole discussion.
So Ashutosh, I talked about this last year, how TX, or test experience around API testing, is not always great at API Days Conf. AJ, awesome points. People forget the CapEx, capital expenditure, operation expenditure they need to manage. Think of the tokens now, LOL. Ashutosh, yes, we are all engineers, but such things get talked about less focus on it. There are huge budgets for DevX, no traction for test tool and how usable they are. Interesting. Yeah, there's lots more things going on for sure.
AJ says that they do have experience with some big companies that have a shared budget for both developers and testers and DevOps, test ops, I would say. And Ashutosh is, of course, just like all of us, wishing to be in one of those companies. Like, yes, that's the ideal. We want that everywhere. Agreed, Ashutosh. Let's see. There seems to be a very good chapter on it in a book, says AG. TVP is a good chapter in the team topologies book, if anyone is interested. So this is a very good book recommendation, and do share that somewhere, I would say. There's so much going on. Well, let's see. Ashutosh also answered Adam on something, that testability is more product focused, where tester experience is more on tools used to test and how is the experience of using these tools. So that's a very important distinction. And AJ, I believe, in response to us finding their question, I believe, says, I would flip that in 2026 to tester experience focuses on engineer experience in testing, not just the tools, but how everything comes together to enable fast, reliable, and low friction testing. Yes, it seems like a very good definition to put in the glossary. That is very important. AG said to feel free to ignore the Q&A. They were feeling spicy, but they know Rosie loves a bit of spice, so that's why they posted it. So there you go, Rosie, all for you. But yes, I would say this is a good time to start wrapping up. We will post that question in a moment and keep the discussion going, because there's so much more to talk about, I have the feeling.
It really is. And yeah, I guess final thoughts from myself. We want to let you know that we have been working behind the scenes to find better ways to catalog the incredible archive of sessions that are available on the MoTaverse. So these are talks, AMAs, masterclasses, roundtables, like loads of stuff, leading with quality conversations, the whole lot. So if you head over to the sessions page, you can find it in the footer. You go to ministryoftesting.com, look for sessions. We've got some real good groupings now. So it's a great way a new way to browse all of the amazing learning material that's available on the site. We're grouping them by talks, chapters, masterclass, MoTCon Test Bash, roundtables, AMAs, and discussions, or RAD. Rosie came up with that acronym. It's a good one, RAD. You're leading with quality and the testing planet. That archive is massive, right? That is a lot of learning material. So it's a nice way if you just want to browse. Of course, this stuff will appear with keyword search as well, but keyword search is keyword search. That's search. This is browse. So if you're navigating and exploring and want to find a good session to check out, please do go check it out. That's gone live this week. Podcasts will also be wrapped into sessions. So that's something we're hoping to release either today. I know, folks, we release on a Friday, or on early next week. I know, it's a shocker. So those podcasts will be grouped on this page as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one very soon. In the meantime, for those who are considering a professional membership, please do go for it. It is the best way to make the most of being part of the MoTaverse. You can find out about all the benefits on the membership page. Just go to ministryoftesting.com/membership. Please do get involved, show up, get stuck in, and start creating moments and join the conversation. There's plenty more to be had. Thank you to everyone who has participated in the chat. It's been lovely to see you get involved. Thank you so much, Rosie and Gary, for joining the stage. Awesome to see you. Been wonderful. And Demi, thank you for co-hosting. Rosie, I've just seen you. You posted your moment live. That's so good. Good timing. You like the way I was just going to keep on talking. Is it going to happen? It's like, yes, it's happened.
Well, your time, so you could press the go live button.
Legendary work, folks. Well done for those who have joined the challenge, including yourself, Gary, and Pretty, and Rosie. Any final thoughts, Demi, before we sign off?
Have lots of fun without me while I'm on vacation. I look forward to hearing all the conversations and reading all the articles I'll miss in the meantime. So make it a good one.
We will do, and have a wonderful vacation. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. We'll see you around the MoTaverse soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Cheers. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.